back to World Crisis Radio, pushing ahead in this heated atmosphere of strategic ultimatum. Chinese ultimatum to the United States. Any attack on Pakistan will be construed as an attack on China. The United States must respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Pakistan. That comes on the heels of Gilani threatening full force retaliation if anybody tries to tamper with the strategic assets of Pakistan. This means the long-feared cross-border raid by Task Force Orange, the U.S. Special Forces, to seize control of 80 IRBMs and related nuclear assets at the Sargodha Air Force Base and other Pakistani Air Force bases. But in the meantime, we have Mr. Reconciliation, Grossman. This guy is going to turn out to be the Théophile Delcasse or Izvolsky or Count Berchtold of the next war, I fear. These are all people who contributed to World War I. Look them up on the Against Oligarchy part of Tarpley.net. The United States wants to assassinate the leader of the Haqqani network. The Pakistanis want to make peace with the Haqqani network. So there's a complete divergence. The Pakistanis believe the Haqqanis are the ones they can work with. The U.S. says, no, we can't do that. We have to kill them. By contrast, we're told now that the United States, and this is Grossman, or at least Grossman's shop, is in direct talks with the Taliban on both sides. That is to say, the U.S. is talking with envoys of Mullah Omar. Remember him? Mullah Omar, of course, now freed from his Islamic hospitality imperative vis-a-vis bin Laden. Right? It was for individuals, not for organizations. So the U.S. is talking to Mullah Omar and the Quetta Shura. The Quetta Shura, that's Baluchistan, and that is supposedly where the Taliban are run from. The U.S. wants to talk to them. So Grossman loves the Taliban but hates Pakistan. The U.S. hates Haqqani. Pakistan thinks Haqqani is somebody you can work with. So you can see how it's dividing up. It could be that this entire thing is just a fraud, that it's simply the pseudo-counter-gang Taliban that the U.S. is negotiating with its own counter-gang and using that then to show that they're trying to do something. Another important strategic aspect in the background, there will be a meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Shanghai on June 15th. June 15th, that's in the middle of the next month, a little bit less than a month from now, in Shanghai. This, of course, is China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Mongolia, Pakistan, and India are observers. This might be a chance to mediate, Russia, China mediating between Pakistan and India. I would hope so. Hu Jintao of China meets a group of Shanghai Cooperation Organization country journalists, praises the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. He praises the anti-terror drills. The SCO will have its own anti-terror drills. I imagine anti-terror means the U.S. and the British. Who else would it be? Everybody talks about terrorism. They do, too. So Hu Jintao also says the diplomatic relations of Russia and China are at an unprecedented high point. They are better than ever. China getting along with Russia better than ever before. And he says this has an obvious strategic ingredient. That means Washington. If it's China, it's also Russia. So you pick a fight with Pakistan. Behind Pakistan is China. Behind China is Russia. Get the idea? And if you insist on this, you get a world war. And amazing as it might seem, and again, people in July 1914 couldn't believe what was happening. The Germans of August of 1939 couldn't believe it was yet another world war. So we got Saif, the new head of Al-Qaeda, comfortably ensconced in North Waziristan, just the place to send in the helicopters and get this going. Secretary Gates, the founder of Al-Qaeda, says somebody knew. Yeah, you knew, Kate. You knew. That was an agreed-on operation. That was sanctioned. That was your own pseudo bin Laden that you were running from there. A couple of other things, right? Remember, if the Pakistanis are put with their backs to the wall by these blabbermouths like Kerry, they can say, "Dear U.S., what's with Ray Davis? Why was he transferring these strategic weapons of mass destruction into the hands of Taliban terrorists, presumably the counter-gang version? And what's with David Headley? What's with the Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was the key figure in the attack on Mumbai?" Now, other things are also opening up. The Pakistanis have a nuclear complex. These are peaceful nuclear reactors. This is called Kushab, K-H-U-S-H-A-B, K-H-U-S-H-A-B. This is now the fourth reactor. It's a reactor complex. They're building the fourth one. And the Daily Mail of London, the London tabloid, boy, they are so hysterical about this. They are doing the war propaganda bit. This is like the British, the German fleet menace before 1914, that the eyebrows of the U.S. have been raised by the fact that the Chinese are building this nuclear reactor really fast. Well, this has nothing to do with military stuff. They say it's a weapons-grade reactor. This is ridiculous. If you want to have weapons research, you don't build a power reactor. You can have a research reactor for so much less, and it's much easier to keep secret. It's not out in the open. This is absolutely idiotic. But the Daily Mail will try anything to get war hysteria against Pakistan. So you get the idea. They're pulling out all the stops. Selig Harrison, this is somebody to watch. Selig Harrison. And he's from the Woodrow Wilson Center. This is obviously a top spook. His writing in various strategic papers here, the national interest and so forth, save Baluchistan, free Baluchistan. And it's time for the U.S., he says, to support the secession of Baluchistan from Pakistan. And there was a big conference here in Washington in February of the Baluchistan lobby, the Baloch Society of the United States or of North America, coming together with their various congressional friends, think tankers, spooks, and others. So you get the idea, right? This was the Rigi organization. That was the Jundullah was the main force of this. But then, of course, the Iranians were able to capture Rigi, and that's the end of Rigi. So Selig Harrison also writing another article, China cozies up to Pakistan. China cozies up to Pakistan. You can see the think tankers are hysterical about this, too. So Idaho Republican Senator Risch, R-I-S-H, again, very obscure, but here he is complaining about friendly relations between Pakistan and China. That's a threat to the United States. So WikiLeaks had to get into the act. The CIA limited hangout operation, the CIA stooges over at WikiLeaks put out now papers showing General Kayani of Pakistan is a hypocrite. He was asking for more Predator drone strikes, not less. Now, at what point does the world say WikiLeaks is not simply a leak operation? What they leak is doctored. Now, whether the individual nihilist at WikiLeaks who puts this out has any idea of what's in these things, I don't know. But the leakers are obviously free to falsify these embassy cables any way they want and then put them out. So, again, WikiLeaks is building quite a track record of being at the right place at the right time with the right disinformation. For who? For the CIA. So all of you characters who are so worked up about WikiLeaks should take note. Bradley Manning, of course, is crucified. He should be let free, no doubt about that. But why? To cover up the fact that Assange is living like a king, the pampered darling of the international media, living in a British country house, brought to him auspices of British military intelligence. Nobody's laid a glove on Assange. So that's the build-up. That's the build-up to July 1914. And what comes in August 1914 or September 1939, you all know. So time to get active or get radioactive. Back in a minute.